Welcome. We are going to explore conjunctions in KP Astrology. Professor K.S. Krishnamurti has underlined the importance of conjunctions in many of his articles. We are going to make use of Bharat Ratna, late Lata Mangeshkar ji's chart to take a practical look into conjunctions. I will also show you how the additional signification table, a new option that we added on Jyotish portal, can help you identify the conjunctions very easily. So let us navigate to the Jyotish portal. So this is the um, chart of late Lata Mangeshkar ji, who died at the age of 92, leaving behind an unmatched musical legacy. Now, if we have to capture the essence of this horoscope and the life it reflects, like just 3 or 4 main points of this horoscope, though she had lived a very long life, 92 years of age, then the three defining themes would be this. Right, so the three defining themes of Lataji's chart: the extraordinary singing talent. She has been described as an incredible singing machine. Then the second is the legendary fame and admiration. And third is the no marriage. So these are the three, I would say, the defining themes of her chart. See, I have segregated these 2 points, the extraordinary singing talent, or in other words, we can say extraordinary talent in some area, and then the fame and recognition. Many remarkable artists leave this world without ever receiving the recognition or the honor, though they might have an outstanding talent in some specific field. So that's why I segregated both. The one is the having the extraordinary. Extraordinary means extraordinary. And then second is whether that person will also get the recognition, the fame and admiration that converts into making that person a kind of an icon in his or her own field. And then of course the no marriage thing in the Lataji's chart. So let's look at how easy or difficult it is in KP astrology to highlight these 3 points. Now, in many of my videos, I have pointed out that you should not waste your time in looking at the cuspal sublord of the ascendant to figure out the likes and dislikes, those kind of a thing of a person. The Rashi chart, this is sufficient. Not the cusp chart, the Rashi chart. This is sufficient, and you have to focus on the ascendant and the moon. So that alone will give you a very good idea about the character sketch, likes and dislikes, or even any outstanding things in a person's personality. So in in this chart, Lataji's chart, you can see the Jupiter is there in the ascendant, and then the Taurus. Now, Taurus, Taurus is the primary voice sign. Taurus is the most melodious sign. So, people who are born in Taurus will have an affinity for music. You will find this happening with your friends, relatives. So, if they have a Taurus ascendant, or even the moon is in Taurus, they will have affinity or liking for the music. You see, these people who get into all these karaoke groups, or they create weekend small gatherings for music, they have this Taurus and the Venus influence. I have seen this very noticeably. So in Lataji's chart, we see the Taurus ascendant. But obviously, this Taurus ascendant alone is not sufficient. When we say that she was a incredible singing machine, then there's a lot of other things apart from just a Taurus ascendant. We also see that the Venus is in Leo. That again is a very good indication, because the Leo sign by default is associated with the artistic capabilities. Then the moon in the third is also very good. It indicates the hobbies which are more emotional or sentimental in nature. The third house gives a taste or inclination. So if the third house has Mercury and Jupiter, then a person might get more interested in the creative writing, communication, those kind of a thing. But moon gives a more, I would say, emotive kind of a inclination. So, but is this sufficient? Even this is not sufficient. So let's now look at each of the planets in her horoscope and see if they have any special focus. Now, if we look at the planet signification table, this table over here, and let's look at each of the planet. So when you look at each of the planet, you soon realize that the fifth house has a very strong representation in this planet signification table. Every single planet, Ketu is signifying the fifth house, Venus is signifying the fifth house, Sun is signifying the fifth house, Moon is signifying the fifth house, and then Mars is signifying the fifth house. Rahu is also signifying the fifth house. Jupiter is also signifying the fifth house. Saturn is also signifying the fifth house, and Mercury is also signifying the fifth house. In fact, if you look into the more of all the 9 planets, including the Uranus, Neptune, and Fortuna, so we have one table where, this table. So this has all 9 planets. So here also you will find Uranus also indicating the fifth house. Neptune is also signifying the fifth house. Pluto is also signifying the fifth house, right? And Fortuna has also something to do with the fifth house. So that's something that makes you sit up and take notice that this horoscope has a tremendous focus on the fifth house. Now, as a student of KP astrology or even Parashari astrology, you know that the fifth house has something to do with Bollywood, entertainment, and the artistic, the career or the profession. So now Taurus ascendant, we discuss things related to Taurus ascendant. Now we see that the planet signification also has that kind of a focus. So again, we have to ask, is this sufficient? See, our core question is that we are looking at the horoscope of a legendary artist and someone whose talent is said to be out of this world. So then we have to ask, is this sufficient? I have seen many horoscopes where this kind of a focus on a particular cusp is very strong. Uh, about a few months ago, I was looking at a chart where the focus was very much on the fourth and the ninth house, and then I realized that that particular person has double PhD and double MBA, those kind of a thing. So obviously, this focus in the chart helps a person gain some special um, ability. Now let me draw your attention towards the when you're looking at the Rashi chart, you see this Venus and Neptune in the same sign. This is something you should not be missing. Why I'm saying not missing? Because Venus and Neptune, Venus is the Lagna Lord, is the ruling planet of the ascendant, the Lord of the ascendant. So when it has some kind of an association with another planet, then you have to sit up and take notice. And especially the planet like Neptune, Professor Krishnamurti has mentioned so many different kind of conjunction where Neptune is able to influence a person's life in a very dramatic way, positive or negative. So the first thing is when you look at this thing, then you see, okay, the Venus and Neptune might be in conjunction. This is not a certainty. So for that, now you have to click on the signification plus table. In the signification plus table, you have to look at the conjunction column, this column. And now if you look at Venus, the Lagna Lord, then you see it has a conjunction with Neptune because Venus is in Leo 10 degree, right? And Neptune over here is 9 degree. So it's not only a conjunction, it is a rapt conjunction. Means they are very near to each other. Almost there is a tremendous amount of intermingling of the energy of the Neptune and Venus. So this particular table can help you immediately see if there is a conjunction or a rapt conjunction happening between two persons. And like I mentioned, see, the Venus and Neptune would have been in conjunction at that time when Lataji was born. But since the Venus is the Lagna Lord, so that makes all the difference. The Lagna Lord's conjunction with Neptune. That's what we are looking into. And this particular combination, the Venus and the Neptune combination. So in the Parashari astrology, there is not much written about the role of Neptune. But if you read some of the Professor Krishnamurti's articles, or even if you look into the Western astrology, where they have mentioned or identified the properties of the Neptune, then the Venus and the Neptune conjunction is said to form a very unique and executive type of artistic signature. So this is definitely a conjunction that very strongly reflects the artistic side in a person. So apart from looking just at the ascendant moon and the focus on all these all the planets uh, on in the cusp chart, there is an extra assurance that we get from the Venus Neptune combination that this person must be of some exceptional having an exceptional talent in the some artistic side and mostly music. Now, if you just look at the planet signification table, so that's what I have been mentioning in a couple of my pre last videos, that this signification table alone is not sufficient. Just reading the script like a parrot and then giving out something, saying something is not alone. You are going to miss many significant points in a horoscope. So this is where the signification plus table, where the I explained that if the moon is on the Rashi border, so these I would say these three columns. So these three, these are important. Some other information is there, but I don't make use of it. Anybody else, if is interested, then they can make use of the cuspal sublord and star lord. In my videos, I have already explained what it means. You can also click here, and then it gives you some idea about what each of these column heading means. For example, if you look at conjunction, then it will give you a definition of what conjunction is. Now let's look at the other defining themes in Lataji's chart. We covered this. Now second is the legendary fame and admiration. Like we said, even if somebody has an outstanding talent, it's not necessary that he or she will have a legendary fame and admiration. Now I would also add, the Dhan Yoga. That's also one of the point I should, rather than three, we should have the four. Now, usually if somebody has an extraordinary talent and then one becomes very famous, then money follows as a byproduct. So that's I think is just a matter of common sense. But still, you have a lot of charts where despite having extraordinary singing talent and fame and administration, there is Dhan Yoga is missing. If you look at Ramanuja's chart, the great mathematician, so he had an extraordinary talent in the mathematics side, and he was very famous when he was in UK and in the mathematics circle. But when it came to the money, I don't think he had I mean, he lived in some kind of a poverty. So, so Dhan Yoga also has to be there. So we have to segregate these 2 points. Why we have to segregate these 2 points is because in Krishnamurti Paddhati, what happens is that everything boils down to 2, 6, 10, 11. So, and this is not alone. This is not sufficient. It indicates some kind of a successful life. But when you want to look from the defining themes, then you have to segregate this, this, and this. These three are all separate points. 2, 6, 10, 11 doesn't necessarily always is a guarantee that all three things will happen. So now let's look at the legendary fame and admiration. Let's look at 2, 6, 10, 11. That's the usual classic thing in the KPK astrology. So if you look at each of these the planets, then you will see the horoscope is reasonably good from the money point of view, from the Dhan Yoga point of view. It's not that something exceptionally extraordinary, but yeah, it has some good solid points from the Dhan Yoga. But let's look at from the Yash Yoga, or the person when he becomes exceptionally famous. So this is where I want to show you the one of the hidden secrets of the untenanted planet. You might have read all things about the untenanted planet, but I will show you how you have to interpret that the magic of the untenanted planet. What kind of special yogas the untenanted planet can bring. Now, for the Taurus ascendant, the Saturn becomes the Yoga If you have read the Parashari astrology, then Saturn is a Yoga Karak. Professor Krishnamurti has not mentioned about too many yogas, but in his book Third Yoga, he has third reader, he has mentioned about the Dharma Karma yoga, which happens because of the 10th and the 11th. Now the 10th and the 11th in her chart are ruled by Saturn. So the first thing is that Saturn is untenanted, right? So a planet which is a Yoga is untenanted. But this story doesn't end over here. It's okay that the Saturn is untenanted. Let me show you what Saturn is doing in this chart. For that, if you go and look at the cusp significator, not the stable. Yeah, yes, yeah. Now in this table, something strange you will find. And that is that the Saturn, which is untenanted like we saw, is the only significator of the 9th and the 10th house. You have to note this word, the sole significator. It is the only significator of the 9th and the 10th house. This is where the real magic of the untenanted planet lies. A planet is untenanted, that's fine. But if a planet becomes the only sole significator of that house, then it has a very special role to play. I found out this while reading one of articles by Professor K.S. Krishnamurti. And then I've been making a note of this particular aspect of the untenanted planet, where the we can say the Saturn is untenanted and the sole only, right, significator of 9 and 10. So this is what I think gives rise to a very powerful Dharma Karma Yoga, and this is what has made her legendary in her field. And then on top of it, you see the Saturn is strongly signifying the 7th house also. When I was doing the Amitabh Bachchan's horoscope reading, there I had mentioned Professor Krishnamurti's one rule, where he has mentioned that if a person has to become legendary, then it has to be the 7th house that has to come into the play. So, so the Saturn over here, you see Saturn's role, how strong it is by becoming the sole significator of the 9th and the 10th house, causing extremely powerful Dharma Karma yoga between the 9th house and the 10th house. She got her Bharat Ratna also when she was running the Saturn's sub period. So this is where you might want to take a look and make a note that how the untenanted planet in your chart or in your friends or relative chart, they are playing out. Now let's look at the no marriage yoga in her chart. Now it's not easy to say that this particular thing will not or never happen in a chart. It's not easy in partial astrology, and it's not even easy in the KP also. So, but let me share my own observations about Lavtaji's chart. She didn't marry. And now, one of the things that I have been watching for quite some time in many charts is what I typically called as the pairing. I would call it a pairing of the houses. I'll explain what exactly it's meant by the pairing of the houses. Now, if you like I mentioned, I'm not going to look at the cuspal sublord, so we are just going to focus on the dasha alone. So this dasha, the Venus dasha, was the period when she could have gotten married. But let's look at the Venus, and then let's look at the what is meant by the pairing. You see, the Venus in this chart is for Taurus ascendant, it automatically becomes the ruler of the first and the sixth house. Now, first and the sixth house are deemed to be bad. It indicates no marriage in the KP astrology. We know this. But then the question we should be asking is that what happens to, does all Taurus people will have this kind of a yoga? No. The pairing rule is that if both of these cusps are empty, then the Venus becomes a strong significator of the pairing rule. Means the first and the sixth house, which indicate no marriage, and then the Venus becomes more eligible. Venus becomes more strong to give this yoga that yes, this pairing rule will come into the picture, which is the first and the sixth house, which indicates no marriage. Then if you look at Venus, Venus is in the star of Ketu. Ketu also indicates first and the sixth house, because Ketu is in Libra, so Ketu represents the Venus. So you see this pairing rule over here, which made Venus very strong because these are all empty cusp. Similarly, the star lord, the Ketu, which also represents the 1 and the 6th. So this is kind of, like we say, doubling it down. It's reinforcing each other. Venus was already saying no, and then the Ketu on top of it is strongly, by pairing up these two houses, is giving more strength to that negative yoga. So the Venus Dasha overall becomes extremely, I would say, very, very weak. For this reason, when you are writing the significator, then the increasing order of signification is not a good idea. Like writing, instead of writing 316, you write 136. That's not a good idea, because eventually these subtle points of pairing and their strength, whether it's eventually negative or positive, will only come when you look at the relative strength of a planet. So after the Venus Dasha, now if you look at the Sun Dasha, so Sun Dasha started when she was already 44 years of age. So I think that was kind of too late, especially in that time of India. It was very difficult for a woman to get married at that particular age. But if you look at Sun is actually seems quite powerful when it comes to marriage and things like that. Somewhere I read about that she was romantically inclined towards someone, but of course that did not convert into a marriage. But by looking at just the dasha alone, and then making sure that whether this planet is very strongly giving the negative result, then you can say that yes, that negative result is going to manifest. Now the 1/6, when it becomes very strong, then it is good for the material gain. Professor Krishnamurti in his book on marriage, married life and children has mentioned that if in a person's horoscope, if the 1, 6, 2, 10, all these houses, if they become very strong, then person is materially gets a good status. But of course, many of these houses are also, they indicate the negative things when it comes to the marriage. So we discussed the three, I would say, the essence of her horoscope, and in the process we learned about some new techniques to interpret a horoscope, and most importantly the the conjunction that should not be ignored, and the you should make use of the signification table, and watch my videos about how the additional signification table can help you in many ways. So that's all in this video, and thanks for watching.